Hello, hello, hello. Are we ready? I'm just waiting for Alleah to join here. Got one person watching already. Hi, Susan. Let's see, am I doing this? Oh, here we go. Can invite Alleah in. And we're adding her.
What's up? What's up?
What's up?
Hey.
Good
It said to rotate my
morning.
phone and now it's all right. Hmm. Nope.
Yeah, we
Oh,
have to
that's my
go.
computer. How do you do this thing? Am
Yeah, you
I
gotta you gotta turn yourself sideways.
I am turned sideways. And then if I go like this, it looks like it's sideways.
You're
Hold
upside
on.
down now.
Here, try it again. Try it again.
Try to. Oh, okay, sure. Let's see. Um, okay, we're adding Alleah back in here.
It's still sideways.
Huh.
All right.
Are you using your mobile
Yeah.
and you have it? Now you're right side up.
Does that look right
Yeah.
to you?
Yeah.
Okay, we can roll with this. Let me see if I can figure out. We can roll with this. What's up, everybody? This is gonna trip me out, actually.
I mean, at least
My
both of us are
sanity
right
is
side up.
conditional on this Facebook app right now.
If anybody wants to let us know in the comments, how does the audio sound this time? We want to have it a little better than last time.
Can someone say in the comments if my screen looks correct?
I'm pretty sure like that's you right side up.
All right. All right, if you say so.
Is your
It
phone
doesn't fit in my.
like on its side or something?
Yeah, it is. It's like vertical. And let me see. I was gonna put it in this tripod thing, but doesn't work this way, I don't think. Hmm. Yeah, it will actually. If I go like this. Okay. All right. If you guys say so. It's gonna be
Nice.
one of those things where the replay is gonna be like all.
Yeah, Vince said it's correct.
All right, Vince. If it's messed up later, it's your fault.
Hi, Vince.
Too funny. Is that Vince Ferrano?
Uh-huh.
What's up? Thanks for always commenting, Vince, and being there. It's
Yeah,
awesome.
yeah, we love your posts in the group. They're always so good.
So good. So good. So it's Thursday. We're gonna chat about some law of attraction. Is that what we're doing today?
Absolutely.
Hell yeah. You got anything on your mind to kick us off?
Um, hmm. I guess a little bit of a continuation off last time. The part about the difference between, somebody who's like in a really low frequency state and then somebody who's in a little bit higher frequency state, and kind of how there is like a journey up that emotional scale. And like we said, the idea of like how sometimes the best you can do is just stop the bleeding versus like really getting in there and doing, not just getting off the topic of what's bothering you, which can be helpful. Like if if you just can't deal, it's like getting off the topic can be really useful, like distraction, relaxation, all that stuff. But then when you're ready to like really shift something, then it's like time to, and this is where I love your analogy of the like a pathway, like a thought pathway, like in the woods or something, you know, like
The rail trail
all
example.
the roots are cleared out of the way, you know, like it's been walked down so many times, it's really easy to walk down. That's kind of like our patterns of thought, right? Like they're like neural pathways, right, in our brain even. But if you want to really shift it and go
Maybe I
like get
should
to
share that
the center.
analogy. Should I share the analogy?
Sure. Yeah, absolutely.
All right, let's do it. All right. So, ah, I love this stuff. All right, everybody. So this is what's going on, right? So imagine you are like you're gonna take a walk. And I don't know if you guys have these near you, but where I live in Massachusetts, we have these rail trail systems, right? And so these rail trails, these rail trails, there was a railroad here at one point, right? So these paths are wide open. Okay, you show up, it's like 10, 15 feet. There's no roots, and it's totally flat. It's not going up, it's not going down. There's no hills. It is just a wide pathway. So you show up to go for your walk, and everybody's walking down this pathway. Nobody's really thinking about it, right? This is just what's going on. You show up and you walk down the path, and there's nothing interfering. It is just there. It's been there because 100 years ago, 200 years ago, they cleared the path. And then since then, trains went down the path. Everybody's been walking down the path. So it's super easy to walk down this path. Now, the analogy is this is the same damn thing that is going on in the brain, right? Our thoughts are just neurotransmitters. And if you have thought a certain thought, I don't know, 5 billion times over the past 20 years, then that neural pathway, that neurotransmitter pathway is the same, is a 12-foot wide pathway, no hills, no roots, super, super easy to walk down. And so without much, you show up to the rail trail, you just walk down the path. You show up to start thinking something, and you just start thinking whatever rail trail neurotransmitter pathway is wide open in your brain. So let's say like at this particular trail I have in my mind, like I actually don't go down that main pathway. And so what people don't realize is that if they just like walked off the pathway, right? They just like they just like actually walked 20 feet down the single track, that goes down the hill. Next thing you know, you are on like an incredible path next to an incredible, beautiful river with babbling brooks and rocks and flowers. And you're just like 2 feet from the water, and it's like amazing, right? So the idea here is that if you have some sort of chronic thought that has been walked down in your brain millions and millions of times, then you just can't stay on the rail trail. You could stay there, but why would you want to stay there? And so what you would want to do is you want to get out your fucking machete and start bushwhacking some new trails, okay? Right. So you need a sharp machete. You need to start cutting down the trees. You have to go back. You have to pull out the roots. And then even with all of that work, you now have to walk down that pathway. You now have to invite your friends. You now need like time to walk down it enough where it kind of looks like another option. And so if we have these chronic thought patterns in our minds, we have to think about, we need to take our machete in our brain and start bushwhacking a new pathway. So if your pathway is full of this happened and this is what happened when I was a child, and then I made this mistake, and then this person treated me this way, you're free to walk down that path. But let me tell you, the world is much, much brighter when you take out your machete and you say, okay. I know that this is true. I know that all these things are true. I know I've thought them a long time. I know this is based in reality, but damn, like it's just not serving me. And so I need to do this uncomfortable thing in my brain where the neurotransmitters really want to go down that path. They really want to go down the easy path. But let me do this thing where I just like take a deep breath, get out a pen and paper, and think about something else to say. And yeah, at first it's going to be, let's say you've been saying like, nobody in my family ever had money. Nobody had money. They didn't have money growing up. I didn't go to college. I don't know anybody with money. And look at the world. Not many people have money. look at the job situation. Things are getting expensive, right? All of these things are facts, but all of these things are facts on the wide neurotransmitter pathway. So it'd be kind of tricky to be like, all right, like there's this like uncomfortable transition to, okay, I'm going to buck the current of the pull to be on that pathway. And instead I'm going to like take the equivalent of my machete out and say, okay, I'm not gonna say that right now. What else could I say? Okay, I have plenty of food in my fridge.
Yeah.
I have the ability to wash my clothes every week.
And
I
it's important that these are things that don't go against what you believe. Like you honestly believe these things because you don't want to
Yes,
feel like you're kidding yourself as you're making these
exactly.
changes.
If you say things, if you say shit you don't believe, it counteracts
Right.
because you say something like, I know money's coming to me.
I'm a
Money's coming to me. I'm
millionaire.
a millionaire.
Yeah.
$100,000 check in the mail. This little gremlin pops up and says, "No, no, bro. Sorry. Like, did you see you're in debt? Did you see there's no cash in the bank?" And so what we have to do is we have to come back and we have to say things that feel better. I feel good. They don't even have to feel good, just better and be believable. And when you combine the feeling better with feeling believable, then there's no resistance. Then you're just like, okay, it feels better to say this. And so you say things that you believe. And so you start, then maybe you write out 5 bullet points of things that are believable and feel good. I have plenty of food in the fridge. I have people who love me. I have clean clothes. I do believe I can learn to manage my vibration. And I do think that there's a different path that's possible. Now, just because you said that shit once doesn't mean that you've got another rail trail. So now we have to take those bullet points and say them over and over and over and over again, which is the equivalent of taking out the machete and creating a new path.
Yeah.
And
doing some reps.
Yeah. Absolutely. And then it's like, okay, it might take a couple weeks, a couple months, but now we show up for a walk and now we see the other trail. And now we can start walking down the wide trail, but then we will probably remember that there's another option. And the more we catch ourselves going down a path, the wide rail trail, going down neurotransmitter pathways that don't serve us, the more we catch ourselves, the more we remember we can choose something else. And the more we do choose that and practice it, the more that path widens. And the more that path widens, the more we're thinking those thoughts, which means the more we're feeling the emotions associated with those thoughts, which means we're actually manifesting the real proof that matches those thoughts. So that's the pathway analogy.
And I think it's helpful for people to know too, because like I do some coaching with people and we'll get to this point and they kind of like the first thing they say is like, how, like, help me out here. Like, I don't, I'm trying to get them to say it, and they're kind of like, can you just like say it for me? And I can do that too, but it's important that they kind of do it. But I like to let them know that like, look, like when I'm giving you these examples, like it's just off the top of my head. You can get really creative with this stuff and do like phrase it in any way that resonates with you, or just say anything that's like moving in that direction, like at all, just like feel around. And the process itself could take a lot of different forms. I mean, like you could write this on a piece of paper, shout it out your car window while you're driving. Like it really doesn't matter. It could be in a conversation with a friend that you're having, instead of telling them, here's all the things that are going wrong, just try and like change your story. And yeah, you can get really creative with it. And it's like this whole teaching, like everything that all these different methodologies and everything that we've learned from Abraham, like you can boil this down to like one word and just call it positivity. Like, let's say that everything that you want is to your left and everything you don't want is to your right. Like this whole process is just doing this, and like it could be any word that has like a more positive connotation to it, any sentence that like has a little bit more lightness in it. And you can just start just flowing with that. And you'll notice like once you do a little bit, then it brings a little bit more, brings a little bit more.
A little bit more.
An example could be something like, I want to feel better. Like that's an improvement on whatever it is that
I don't feel good.
good.
If you go around saying I don't feel good, then if you, like you just said, I want to feel good, but let's call it out, because some people will be like, oh, textbook law of attraction. If you say I want, that means you don't have. And it's like, true,
Right.
but we have to wiggle our way down the emotional scale, and saying, I want to feel better, declaring I want to feel better is if you've been saying I don't feel good and I don't know why, declaring that, saying I want to feel better is a vibrational improvement than the declaration of not feeling good.
Right. And it's about how it feels to you. So it's not just the words. The words are a great like mechanism to use, like I said, picking something that has a more positive connotation for you. But then it's back into that belief thing, the gremlin thing again, right? Of like, you're just trying to like move yourself a little bit emotionally. So it's just feeling around till you can find something that feels a little bit better. And it's not hard to find. I mean, you can ask yourself, like, is there anything that I feel a little bit good about? Is there anything that I like in my life? And immediately it comes like, yes, of course, there's so many things, and just pick any one of those and latch onto it. And off you go. Pretty soon you're rampaging.
Definitely.
And it's positivity. Just gotta
Now, this would be a good time to go back to the idea of doing your work on subject or off subject. Do you want to?
Right.
You want to rant on that a bit?
Yeah. So I guess in Abraham terms, a good way to like put that in perspective would be like the idea of specific and general, right? Like they talk about how like the worst place you can be is specifically focused on something that's negative. So specifically negative is like the bottom, like you're in the nitty gritty of the specific thing that you don't like. And oftentimes before we can get specifically positive about things, it's helpful to go general. And that's kind of like goes into the, relaxation, distraction, and things like that could fall under like going general, right? And it's really, really powerful and helpful to go general, to just like back away from these specifics a little bit that have got you kind of like tangled up, and like start saying some generally positive things, and that would be like off topic, like getting off that topic and just saying, well, I am glad to be alive. I am glad I woke up today. It could be anything really. Like I do love sunshine. I do
love sunshine. I love my friend. I love
could
coffee.
be any subject or any topic. But then as you move up that, now you're you go from specifically negative to generally negative. Generally negative, I want to say, is something like, fuck it. You know what I mean? It's just it's still negative, but at least it's moving.
Yeah.
And then generally positive is the next one up. And that's just like, that could be a little bit more neutral. That could be a little bit more like gosh, I feel a little bit better. I'm glad to be off that topic. And then once you're kind of like generally positive, now you're in a place where you could go into do some of that specific work that you're talking about, where it's like, I could look back at that thing that was specifically negative before, but because I've improved my vibration, I have more access to specifically positive things on that topic, and being on that topic.
Yeah. That's a cool way to explain it. I haven't heard it like that, but that's totally like, you go from specifically negative, generally positive, to specifically positive.
That's like straight Abraham.
Yeah, totally. So I kind of like to think of it also like, so you kind of have two options. So let's say that let's say you're frustrated at your job or something like that, or you want a new house, and you sit down and you want to do some sort of process, right? And so you're trying to get a better attitude on your specific thing. So you're trying to think positive thoughts about the house. You're trying to think positive thoughts about your partner, your relationship, your boss, whoever, but it's hard, right? So you're sitting there and it's just seems too difficult to figure out how to feel good on the topic. So if you can't figure out how to feel good on the topic, then the idea is to close the book, put the topic away, give it a rest, and go feel good on any other topic. Because if
you want to feel better, right?
You want to feel better. Yeah. And so if you're down here, which means like kind of what you're saying, specifically negative,
this person and what they said. That's all of the specifics of it.
Yeah, and then it's too hard to go specifically positive.
Yeah.
And so you too big a jump. So you close the book, you put it over here, and you say, okay, I need to just generally feel better. And so you say, okay, I'm going to go have a beer with a friend. I am going to take a walk, clean the kitchen, make cookies, make a green smoothie, whatever, right?
Off topic.
Whatever, off topic.
Yeah.
So then you do that for, I don't know, an hour, a day, 2 days, something like that. And then you're like, okay, I'm feeling better. I'm feeling better. And from that feeling better space, you are more likely to be able to go to specifically positive. And when you go specifically positive, you're injecting those good vibes into whatever you want.
Yeah.
And so that's going general.
Machete, like you said.
And then you can use a machete. Exactly.
Start kind of like telling a new story. And that's been a big realization for me lately. And I mean, I've realized it so many times before, but it's something that I always come back to, is like, everything that's happening is all just in response to the story you're telling. So this is the one thing you need to do. There's only one thing you need to do, and it's change that narrative, change that story that you're telling.
Exactly. So let's talk about what that actually looks like. So
absolutely,
stories are facts. Stories is literally what's going on. Stories is us describing how we got here, why we're here. Yeah, why it's difficult going forward, right? And so here's the thing is, everybody kind of thinks that like whatever default story is easy for them to tell is like just the one story. But there's like a million stories you could choose from. Like I could choose to say, something's really difficult, or I could choose to say, I would like to learn something, right? Both of those things are true. Something might be difficult, but I also would like to learn. But if I say something is difficult more than I say I would like to learn something, then I am manifesting it being difficult. And there's just no pathway outside of it being difficult. Versus if I say, well, shit, man, like if I say it's difficult, then it can't not be difficult. So it's in my best interest to just, it might be true, but stop saying that and instead say, gosh, I'd like to learn how to make this easy. I'd like to be good at this. I wonder what it would take to get good at this. I wonder what it would take for me to feel ease. I would like to feel ease. So then you start saying that a lot more, and now you're manifesting it. Now all of a sudden you have the energy or the mental capacity to Google search, to learn, because when you've declared that it's difficult, like your brain shuts down and then you feel like, oh, I can't even figure this out, versus energetically taking in the energy of, oh, this would be like I would like to learn this. All of a sudden, you now are manifesting the energy, manifesting the mental space, manifesting the ideas that are going to contribute to learning it and it getting easier. And then next thing you know, you're saying, wow, I actually am learning this. And then next thing you know, you're saying it actually is getting easier. And then next thing you know, you're saying, I kind of like this. And then next thing you know, you're like, whatever's next. Like maybe you are like, you really do love it. Maybe you end up hiring somebody to do it, or, whatever it might be.
They might even call you now.
They might even call you.
Now that you've shifted your energy a little bit, it's like we get kind of like latched on to the old story. Like you said, it's really easy to walk down that pathway. And when I'm talking with someone who needs help, you can just tell immediately, since I'm an outside perspective to their life, that they're entrenched in these specific negatives. And when I go and try to move them, that what they're going to do immediately is kind of dig in a little bit more and tell me a little bit more. Or this is what we all do, right? Like, tell me a little bit more about that specific, or why they can't, or they're gonna argue for their limitation, right? Like, they're gonna explain more, they're gonna give more detail, and they're gonna write more details into their story about what it is that's bothering them, right? Like why this is an insolvable problem, And it's kind of like we get in this space where it's like, you're not even trying. You're not even taking out your machete. You're just continuing to walk down the old path because it's the easiest path to walk down. So it does take a little bit of effort at this stage. That's a good place to put your effort, is into like shifting that story a little bit. And it doesn't have to be an effort that's uncomfortable, because immediately you feel relief. Immediately you
Immediately.
feel relief as soon as you start telling the story.
I know, right? It's crazy. It's funny. That's actually why so when I started coaching 7 years ago, I used to work with anybody, and like, maybe they knew what law of attraction was or not, but then I was like, oh, it's so much easier or not easier, it's so much more fun when when you don't have to like go around the bush and then like use law of attraction processes without calling it law of attraction. So then I was like, I am just going to specifically work with people who are like into law of attraction, so we can just call it what it is, because you can just do everything so much faster when you're explaining. Like when somebody understands the logic, I think that's what, like, there's a lot of coaches out there, and they're just like the magic wand. You talk to them and you feel better, and like they'll help you solve things, but you don't actually like how do you know how they got to do that? Like, did they just like magically think of something? So there's always like for good coaches, there's rhyme and reason to what they're doing. So I like doing it this way, because you can just teach the rhyme and reason so it can be repeated and people can take that,
So
with
you're
them on
not
their journey.
addicted to me telling the new story for you. So it's like you learn how to like pick up your own pen and write your own new story.
Yeah, exactly.
It really isn't that hard, you guys, because like you're doing it anytime that you feel good. Anytime that you are having a good experience, you're using the pen, like anytime that you're not being negative, you're doing this work. When you're specifically adding more specific details to things that please you, things that interest you, things you that you do want. Anytime you're turned left and focus on all this good stuff over here, instead of like going back and focusing on the absence of all of it, you're doing the work. Anyone who's ever breathed, is a channel of everything good. Everyone's a microcosm of that universal energy.
Yeah.
And we're all doing it all the time. Whenever you're feeling good, you're doing this work.
Yep. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's why I say the definition of a process is any damn thing that makes you feel better.
Exactly. And you know the best for you, what feels better for you. So
and that can change day to day. Like I'll be like all about rewriting stories, and then I will, list out everything that's on my mind, rewrite it, and then I'm feeling better, and I don't feel like doing that one anymore. And then I don't do anything for 5 days, and then I dip, and then I remind myself. So then I go out and have a glass of wine with a friend, and then I remember in the next morning to like appreciate my cup of coffee even more. And then, so it's this ebb and flow of what actually feels good to you. Like if you like, and Abraham will say this too, that there should be no forced action except for shifting your energy. So there's this like only one time, but at the same time, you have so many options to shift your energy. You don't always have to do the complicated process, but what you don't, and it's okay to be human. It's okay to go down. It's okay to have guilt. It's okay to have regret. You just don't want to make a career out of feeling those things.
Yeah.
And if some days, if I'm down and I just don't feel like doing anything, I let myself do that.
Right.
Because if I allow myself to do that, it passes. But then could you imagine if I woke up and I'm a coach and I got down for a day,
Right.
No. Right. I just like, okay, I don't feel like doing anything. I'm going to watch TV. I'm going to eat something. And then tomorrow I'm going to like go for a walk, and then just let that energy pass. And I think a lot of this is about
the newer terms that they've brought into the discussion, like now in the Abraham Lives that they're doing. One of the newer things that they've been saying is about that. It's about doubling down. Don't double down on a negative emotion. I should have known better, et cetera, et cetera. That's taking something bad and then just feeling bad that you're feeling bad. That's just going further in the wrong direction. Instead, double up.
Yeah, exactly.
Back out of that, double down. And when you do notice something that's better, milk that good feeling for as much as you can. And that's doubling up.
Totally. The Buddhists talk about the same thing. For the Buddhists out there, they call it the second arrow. How the first arrow is just what happened.
Yeah.
It's just the first arrow is just what happened. And it might hurt a little, but the suffering is in the second arrow, because the second arrow is thinking about the first arrow.
Yeah.
And the first arrow is just 5% of the pain of whatever you're going through. And it's the second arrow that's 95% of the whatever you're going through.
Just let yourself be. I mean, like, Source loves you just how you are right now. And everything that's going on is about that energy and that relationship between your perspective right now that you're letting yourself have and the perspective of your innermost core, the source within you, how that feels about the same exact thing. So when you're like down on yourself and everything, it's like you couldn't be further from your source perspective. And that split energy is what negative emotion is. So source loves you unconditionally, has nothing but indescribable adoration for you. And every fiber of your being just loves your whole guts. And you want to really like start realizing like how good you are. You're not just good, you're like good, 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 good. Like so good, there's not even words for it. And you want to like start extending that appreciation and that love to yourself and to others and for life in general. You want to love life unconditionally. Don't put all this like it has to be this before I can feel good. There's so much to feel good about that you can start doing it now. And
So
I mean,
good.
just look at you. Look at all the amazing things you're doing. Look at your life. Look at all you've done. Like look at your skin. Look at the air. Look at, there's so many wonderful things to focus on and to
Yeah.
appreciate. You want to start like appreciating, and then it's so much easier.
Mm-hmm. That's right. But here's something though. Sometimes that general love doesn't seep into your most problematic areas.
Right. Right. So that's where we
Some
need to
people
get
like, I mean,
specific.
yeah, right. And so it's like that general love in my experience, I don't want to say this is like for everybody because there is no like, but in my experience coaching and with myself, that like like let's say that I'm just trying to think of a personal example. Like let's say like money, right?
Mm-hmm.
A lot of money's on
The
a lot
big
of
one.
people's minds, the big one. So let's say you've got deep energy on lack of money, right?
Black.
You've had 20 years of proof and you're looking at the bank account and you're just looking at your situation and you're just not sure, right? So then a couple assholes like us come along and say,
Just
"Hey,
don't worry about it.
just don't worry
Yeah.
about it. Feel good." That's part of the story. It's definitely an important part, but so what happens here is that in my experience, that's really, 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 really good. And that alone could bring you wealth as long as whenever the topic of money
You
comes up,
don't go
you are
right back down.
you don't go down. But
Yeah.
what happens most of the time is you do this, you're feeling really good, you're feeling really good, you're feeling really good, time to pay bills, and you're like, oh shit, right?
Immediately
And
feel bad. Yeah.
you immediately feel
Yeah.
bad. And so if you could then look at, if you could hold that love and appreciation most of the time and be able to look at the money or whatever the problem is and at least stay neutral when you look at it,
Yeah.
it would infiltrate.
Which
But
would be a baby step from where you
which
were
would
at of
be
being
a baby step.
specifically negative.
But if your feeling good is conditional on not thinking about money, then those vibes can't seep in and manifest you
No,
the money.
it's not going to work because money's going to come up. It touches your
It's
life
gonna
every
come
single
up.
day.
It's gonna come
And
up.
so that's where
So
it's like, start doing this work that we're talking about, where it's like, let's go ahead and look at these specific negative things that aren't something that you can just forget about because they keep coming up all the time. Like, let's say, like, find the shitty thing, find the really crappy statement that really just is ringing your guts all the time. Find the thing that keeps coming up, and whenever I think about it, it's bad, or it's been bad for a long time. Like you say, it could be 20 years, and maybe you just write that out on paper, right? Like maybe you just the blah statement. It's the same thing that they say about the focus wheel process. Is like one thing that Abraham gives us. It's like the first thing you do in the focus wheel process is just write the
the
yuck
yucky, yeah, we
statement,
both said yuck at the same time.
but that you've been saying to yourself, and you do feel this way, like this just isn't working. I'm not making enough money. and it's really not okay. And I don't have the money that I need to pay my bills. Or maybe I don't know where the money is going to come from that I need to pay my bills, right? That's just so specific, and it just sucks to think about. But at least we've got it like identified, encapsulated, put down on paper, right? And then you can start doing this work of like, well, what's a little bit better way I could say that? You know, I know
Yes.
that this makes me feel terrible. What would make me feel a little bit better that's on topic about this thing, right?
Yeah. Yes. Exactly. Exactly. Like saying, you know, what the things that'll keep you there is, I don't know how to get more money. I don't know how to do this. This is my situation. Versus, I think it's time I learn what the vibration of abundance is all about.
A
Because
little
you,
better.
because, and you believe it. You'd
And
be like,
you
well, yes,
believe it.
yes, it is time that I learn
You're
what
not
the
going straight
vibration.
to I'm a millionaire and saying that a
No,
million times a
no,
day and
exactly.
kidding yourself,
No, you're
you
like,
know, not
yeah,
feeling
and
any
you
shit.
truly believe it. You're like, yes, I would
It
like to
is time.
understand the vibration of abundance. I
Yeah.
would like to imagine what that would be like. I would. That it feels better. I'm getting goosebumps. It already feels empowered for somebody to be able to say, yes, I would like to understand that vibration. Versus, whew, I don't know how this is going to happen.
Or even like, I hope.
I hope. Yeah, totally. And
I
we
hope
apply
it's
this.
better than this is hopeless.
Yes,
Right.
exactly. I hope. Yeah, exactly. So we could see, and then you can apply this to anything. It doesn't have to be money. It could be love. It could be relationships. It could be intimacy. It could be, you know, attracting a partner, fixing a current relationship. It could be at your job. It could be where you live. It could be your friends. It could be your body, sickness, wanting to get stronger, anything. Like I've tried to lose weight. My whole life I've been trying to lose weight. Okay, well, that's pretty much manifesting you spending the next half of your life trying to lose weight,
Right.
right? Versus, and that
That's
might be
the story.
true. Yeah. Versus, I would really love to understand a different path to feeling good.
That's a
Uh,
step.
that's a step. I wonder what a path to wellness looks like. I wonder what it feels like to feel good. I wonder I bet it would feel really good to feel strong in my body. I, I, I wonder it would be amazing if I could walk a couple of miles a day.
Wouldn't it be nice?
Wouldn't it be
It
nice?
would, right? It would
That
be
would be
nice.
nice.
Yeah, that would be nice.
Yeah, that would totally be nice.
Yeah. That'd be really
So that's a good question. Like, even if just that, what would be really nice? Because some people are like, man, you know, I just don't even know what I want.
try. That's where it comes into like, you're not even trying, you know, and you didn't know that you weren't trying. You thought you were trying, you know, you're like, I want this, you know I want improvement, but are you trying to shift your story at all? Are you even trying to like say something that feels a little bit better? You know what I mean? And
Well,
usually we're stubbornly
yeah,
not saying something that feels better because we're so
yeah,
focused on this lack of what we want that we can't start the new narrative
yeah.
of what we do want.
And then you have to be careful as a coach, right? Because then if you say what you just said, are you even trying? What we're vibrationally saying is you're not trying,
Right.
right? And so
Yeah.
we've got to manage ourselves to be like, all right, like,
Right.
all right, what do you want to do?
And that's, I mean, that's the extent of my tough
That's the
love. I'm not really into tough love, but it's like sometimes you need a little like
We're human. We're human too. Yeah.
But then you can, you know, if they're really stuck and they can't say, you know, it's like it's okay.
Yeah.
It's okay. Like
Yeah.
it doesn't mean like you're not even trying. Like
Well,
it's
I
not
think that
like that. It's like,
I actually
look,
when
try.
somebody tells me they don't know what they want, I say, of course you know what you want.
Right.
You might not know the details, but I bet you would like to feel good. You're
Yeah.
like, of course I'd like to feel good. Done.
Yeah.
Done.
Yeah.
Right? Because it's better. Actually, to be honest with you, it is better to not know what you want because then you can skip the details, focus on feeling good, and let the universe surprise you. Because
Right.
if you think you know what you want and you say that I want, there's a path A to B, then the universe grants you one slightly difficult path from A to B.
Right.
But if we actually can let go of the details of that, zero into the emotion we would like regardless, practice that and like sit back and watch,
Be open.
be
Yeah.
open, That's that. So actually, I like it when people say they don't know what they want, because then it's just like, well, yes, you do. You want to feel good. You want to feel sexy. You want to feel abundant. You want to feel
Yeah.
loving. Like, we know what you want.
Yeah.
You actually have an advantage for not having details associated with the feelings that you want.
And you don't have to keep track of it at all times, right? Because like Abraham says, like you've been incrementally putting those things in your vortex your whole life, and some of it even before this lifetime. So it's all in there swirling. You don't have to like, keep a list of all the things you want and be constantly like knowing what those things are, because just like you don't have to constantly vigilantly stay on anything other than watching your vibe.
Yeah.
Where's my vibe?
Yeah, just like Abraham says, you could say something you want, and if you just forgot about it, it would happen. Actually, it was actually crazy.
Yeah,
So
you could want it one
one
time
time,
and then never think
so
about it again,
and it will come.
and it
I'll
would
tell you a story about
manifest.
how that happened. So okay, so if people are rewatching from last week, they maybe heard how my big business I've been running for over 10 years is a wine importing business. But like years before I started the wine importing business, when I just had moved to California, I was invited to a party at the like from the dean of my business school, and when I went there, like he had all this wine, and I came from Massachusetts. I didn't know anything about wine, hadn't really drank wine, but got to California, and now it was like wine culture. And so he was like, oh, there was maybe 40 people there. And he's like, hey, we're going to play a game where like you taste the wine and like try to guess what grape it was. But I was at the stage where like, I didn't even know, I'd never even connected like grapes varietals with wine. So I had no idea what was going on. But then like other people did. And some people would be like, oh, is this, I don't know, like Merlot or Cabernet. And I'm sitting there watching and my mind is blown. And then he mentioned something about like, I don't know, like a wine connoisseur or a sommelier. And my mind is just blown. I'm just like, wow, that would be so cool to be a sommelier. And then I just never thought about it again, right? So I just never thought about it again. Like this was years before I even had like thought about starting a wine business. And so like that was just dropped. And then like time goes on, go to business school, go start working in different places in San Francisco. Okay, then on my path, start the wine business. And then I became a certified sommelier, and and I never even thought about that. But then I realized probably just a couple years ago that wow, like I started that path years before. Like just I remember just this little pulse of energy. That would be really cool to be a
Right.
sommelier.
It's kind of when you rediscover that stuff that's been in your vortex for a long time, like, oh, there that is, that dormant desire,
Yeah, yeah,
that's been there for me and would wait forever for me until I'm ready.
yeah,
And
yeah.
and what you're saying, it really makes me think about what I've been thinking about a lot too, about how the well-being is what's natural to you, like your cork will bob on the surface if you're not holding it down under the water. So then you kind of go like, wait a minute, you know what to do. I know what to do. We know what to do, instead of this constant, I don't know what to do, it's like, I know what to
Or
do.
I need to do
Like,
it. I
I'm
need to do
hungry.
these
What
things.
should I do? Eat. You know, I'm tired. What should I do? Maybe, I don't know, just shot in the dark, take a rest. You know what I mean? It's like, you know what to do about so many things. And well-being is what's natural to you. So, like, you can just kind of like ease up a little bit,
Yeah.
Just stop being so, it's like we get so fretful and it's just we're whining, we're throwing fits, we're complaining, we're criticizing people. It's just like it's just an attitude thing. If you can just shift your attitude a little bit about things, then like so much of like what you need to do or how the process is going to work for you is like something that'll come natural to you. Like anytime you've been successful at anything, it just flows right through you, right? You just like know what to do. That time I wrote that song, or that time I had a great time with friends, and it wasn't something I had to like write out, well, then I'm going to say this joke, and then the joke just like comes right into your head and everything. Like you have great timing. It's like if you can vibe up, then like so much of what's might seem like it needs a process, will come naturally to you,
Yeah.
You are the
Yeah.
process.
That's awesome. Hey, should we make an offer to see if anybody has any specific questions they'd like us
Yeah,
to
I
jam
wanted to go
about?
through the comments a little bit here. We have a ton of comments.
I can't. My phone is all like jacked, so I can't
I
actually
got
scan through for
I
them.
pulled it up on the other screen here so I can look.
Oh, nice.
So we've got Leanne said, so true. Shift one's thought to a colorful, brighter thought, like me, cake and dogs.
Yum. Cake
And
sounds
then
good.
Rhodey said, you are so right. Everything is two subjects. Just feel good in general and it will come. And then Vince said, I find what works for me is catching myself in the moment, whether I'm trending in separation or allowance. Yeah, yeah,
Cool.
that's a big one, right? Like the illusion of separation, right? Like us and them, you know. Um, like thinking that there's outside factors that anything could assert itself into your experience in an attraction-based universe, you know? Like when you're at odds with someone, right? Like you really think like that it's because of what they're doing, or when you're at odds with a situation, you really think it's because of these circumstances, but it's not. It's one thing. It's you are your circumstances, you are your relationships, you are your health, you know. Um, if your body's sick, like your thoughts are sick, you know. If your wallet is sick or empty, you know, your thoughts are sick and empty, you know.
Oh,
And
likely they've
that's the
just been based on
illusion that there's
reality.
like anything outside of you that could do anything to affect you. Like it almost becomes, when you start realizing this, like preposterous, the idea of you not getting something that you want. You are the whole mechanism. You know, not get something. Are you kidding me? Like you are everything. You know what I mean? That's that illusion of separation. So when you're allowing yourself to like see the wholeness.
Yeah.
So that's a really cool thing there, Vince. Kelly Angelica said, I want to feel good. I choose to feel good.
Nice.
Let's
Maybe
see.
scroll to the bottom to see if anybody put a question in, since we offered to take a question.
Yeah. So, Esnath said, sometimes I feel better with things I have than having people around me. Why is that? Sometimes I feel better with things I have than having people around me.
Sounds like he has some just preferences. I don't see anything inherently wrong with that. Like
Right?
if
Like this is more what I'm vibing with right now.
yeah,
Like
you want to be alone and you want to like play with your record
that's
player, or you want to,
alone time.
cool,
What
awesome, great that you
is there
know that.
something wrong with that, right?
So
And
let's ask them. Is there something wrong with this? Is there then a feeling of feeling lonely? Is being alone with your things avoiding social anxiety? Or are you just like, hey, I just genuinely like being by myself? Then it's like, that's awesome, you know that. So
right.
if he wants to throw some more details in
Yeah.
the comments, and I want to invite him to do that so we can kind of like
Yeah.
figure out if there's an actual problem here or if we just are identifying a preference.
Again, it's really good to like let yourself kind of go with your preferences, right? Like if somebody calls you on the phone and you look at it and you don't want to answer that call, why are you making yourself do these things that you don't want to do? You know, somebody calls you to go hang out with them, and your first thought is, oh, I really don't want to do this. And then you make yourself go and do it. You
Yeah.
know,
I
you got to
recently
take
caught
care of
myself
number
doing
one.
that. I recently caught myself being like, oh, I should go see this person. I should go see that person. And then I'm like, am I going to go into that weekend or that visit like genuinely uplifted, right? Like, and I know I can keep myself uplifted, but I also have like an option here. So, yeah, I've been more particular with who I spend time with, being like identifying like who am I co-creating with and leave feeling really good versus like who is just coming down. And again, there's a distinguish here, right? Like we also want the skill to be in a place where people are not at their best and be able to maintain being at our best. But then there's also an element of choice of, what What do you want to do? What do you like to do?
We had one question that was in the comments the other day, or a day or two ago, that we said we would answer.
Okay, cool. I have a meeting in 9 minutes, so I only got a few more minutes.
Okay, so and that's kind of like our last like question that we have here. So
Okay.
the question is, those who have suffered a lot of trauma slash bad times can shut down their emotions. This makes it very difficult to lift the vibration with happy, positive vibes to raise vibration and turbo boost manifesting. Is there a way to break through the emotional I don't know if that's like monotony or something, feeling and actually feel joy in order to enhance slash speed up results? That was Juanita's question.
All right. So somebody's been through a lot of
Yeah.
trauma, has shut down emotions, and
Mm-hmm.
now wants to get to joy.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I'll kind of give some thoughts to Juanita, and then you can give some thoughts to Juanita.
Totally.
So the first thing, Juanita, that's good news is you don't have to go back into the past and work through things. Unless you feel like you have to, unless you have a belief system that says, in order to move forward, I need to go back.
Yeah.
In that case, it could be helpful going into traditional therapy, doing what you think you need to do so you can move forward. But from a law of attraction perspective, you can start off with where you are right now. So if you feel like if you have defined that you have shut off your emotions, then that would be maybe my starting place to disidentify with somebody whose emotions are shut off. I might do that by saying, I had shut off emotions in the past, but I definitely have emotions now. I definitely love some things. I definitely get sad sometimes. I definitely feel happy sometimes. I do have emotions. And I would love to cater to those emotions. So I would write out a sentence like that and practice saying it, because likely you've been practicing saying, I'm not an emotional person. I shut it off. It benefited me in the past. So first I would validate that I do have emotions. And then I'd kind of check in, where am I? And if you are somewhere floating, if you feel like those are off, maybe you feel numb, maybe you feel tired, maybe you feel low momentum, I would just kind of like try to check in where I am, and definitely not reach for joy.
Yeah.
Because the reaching for joy will be heartbreaking, because you
Kind
won't
of
be able to,
backfire.
it'll
Yeah.
backfire. It will be seem really, really, really hard, and that will be disheartening. And so I would be shooting for just a couple emotions further from where you are. So if you're feeling like numb, or you're feeling sad, then I don't know, shoot for being pissed off. That seems like an improvement. Shoot for neutrality. Shoot for being annoyed. Shoot for, I don't know, maybe those are too low, because like you're like, if she's listening right now, she might be thinking like, yeah, you know what? It would be nice to just let myself be angry for what happened. It would be nice to just get annoyed with a situation. Or she could be like, oh, no, I don't really want that. I want something more. So I'd be like, all right, can we just shoot for not caring? Could we shoot for hopefulness, maybe? And just try to move and then celebrate. If you are super low and you get to move into anger, and anger feels better, that's a huge
Yeah.
celebration. If you are angry and you achieve being annoyed, huge celebration. If you are
Yeah.
annoyed and achieve not giving a fuck, that's a huge celebration.
Totally.
So that would be my approach from where she's at.
Yeah. Yeah. And I'm kind of getting the same thing. It's like, for one thing, when people say I'm not feeling emotions, we're all feeling emotions all day, every day, whether you're calling it that or not. You might be, if you're saying you're numb to your emotions, you might be kind of like aware of what the emotions are that you're feeling. And probably you're just feeling emotions that are really low on the emotional scale, right? So, and then the other thing is like that, if you're feeling like you're saying emotions that are really low on the scale, and like you said, shooting for joy from a place of like real grief or real depression or real powerlessness or something that's like a really low, slow vibration is too far a jump up this scale for you. So it's going to, like you said, kind of backfire. So it might be helpful to kind of like look at, for instance, like the Abraham-Hicks, the emotional scale that they give us in Ask and It Is Given, and kind of like identify, feel around like, where am I on this scale? You know, if you just Google it, Abraham-Hicks emotional scale, and go to images, you'll see right there, there's a bunch of them. You'll see it right away, the emotional scale. There's 23 of them with powerlessness, fear and grief and depression at the bottom. And at the very top is appreciation, love, joy, enthusiasm, all those things. And so there's 23 things that they have out in there, and it's kind of like, it's a little bit important to kind of incrementally make your way up this scale. So if you can,
Yep.
if you can get kind of identify what emotion you are feeling and recognize that you are always feeling emotions, it'll be easier to see what the next one is up from there. And it's not hard to move one rung
Yeah.
up that ladder. It
It's
never
not too
really
hard.
is.
Yeah.
And you could do a bunch of rungs just like a regular ladder. It's like you can go up 10 steps in one day. You can go from the bottom of the scale to the top of the scale. It's just you can't jump there in one thought. You're gonna have to do another thought and another thought and another thought. But just like we're climbing up a regular ladder, it's like you can climb all the way up that sucker.
All right, dude, I gotta bounce. I got a meeting in a couple of minutes.
Okay.
This was fun.
This was super fun. Have a great meeting.
Okay, see you guys next week. Bye.
Bye.
I don't know how to get out of here.
Oh, I can remove you.
I gotta learn how to do this.
All right, we'll see you on the next one. Have a great day.
See you.
Thanks
Bye.
again. All right, change the viewer. Okay. I'm gonna hop out of here too, you guys, because I have some other appointments today. But thank you everybody else for tuning in, and you can leave more questions and more comments and things in the comments here, and let us know if there was something that we didn't answer or something that you want us to answer on the next broadcast. We're going to keep these coming to you, and we really appreciate all you guys, everybody who's in the group, everybody who posts, shares the Abraham quotes, and everyone in the group. I really appreciate you, and we're having so much fun learning about this stuff, and I hope everybody has a beautiful, amazing day, and stay blessed. Thanks, guys. See you soon.